Hey everyone, it's me, King Jaw, and this is the devlog for rounds 4 to 6 of the Gdko Game Jam. If you haven't already, you should go watch the other video on 1 to 3, as it gives a bit of context to what the Gdko Game Jam actually is. So anyways, I'm not gonna waste your time, let's just get right into it. So you know how in the last video I was doing pretty good through most of the rounds? Well, that streak broke in round 4. Let's go over what happened. So the theme was to make a customizable experience. So I thought of the idea, what if the player draws the sprites for the game? Yeah, that sounds cool. You know, I could also add a fourth wall breaking narrative about how the developer was too lazy to add art, maybe even some voice lines. You know, that can't be that hard. I started off by making the main part of the game, the drawing mechanic. This was actually quite hard to do. After looking through a bunch of YouTube tutorials, I sort of cobbled together my own system that I don't even know what half of the code in it means. But yeah, I got it working. It's still really scuffed, it still has a lot of flaws like the lack of an undo button, a fill tool, or the fact that if you draw it too fast it doesn't make complete lines, and well, you get the point. So anyways, I got started on the narration that I was talking about earlier.
Oh, hello there. Welcome to the adventures of, I don't really know. The guy who made this game has really bad handwriting.
It actually turned out surprisingly okay. I had an idea for a big world map with lots of puzzles, but I eventually gave up on that completely, deciding to instead, well, I don't really know what I decided to do. I didn't exactly have the clearest vision for this game yet. I basically just kept adding more and more stuff to the game until the deadline was super close, and I knew I must finish this game. I worked, and worked, and worked, until finally I came out with the final product. So, yeah, this is kinda what it is. It's not very good, and it doesn't actually have an ending because I didn't have time to make one. So, yeah, not exactly my best game, but still a pretty cool idea nonetheless. So for round 4, I barely qualified, getting 23rd place out of 28 games. Like I expected, people thought the concept was cool, but the fact that it was unfinished really dragged my ratings down. So I knew I'd have to step up my game for this next round. For round 5, the goal was to remake a classic arcade game, Leaper. Leaper is basically this game where you have to jump up through platforms, dodging enemies, and using screen wrapping to your advantage. To win, you have to collect all the letters to spell out Leaper at the top. Fun fact, you know that part about collecting the letters? I actually didn't even notice them and just made a game about the moving platforms. I only realized that they were a mechanic once the jam ended and I saw a bunch of other games with a mechanic like that in them. Whoops. So anyways, I made Jump Knight, a game that features a mentally unstable knight, a jester that says, "I for war," and an elephant with a birth defect. Why did I make this game? So anyways, I started on some basic controls, just jumping and moving left and right, nothing too much. I also made these platforms that infinitely scroll in different directions, and I basically just copied and pasted them and changed the speed and direction to make the levels. I also added in a cutscene system. just so I could add in a bit of humor and give context. I got a lot of this done in the first couple days, and ended up being able to add a lot of content and even a couple boss fights. Well, a lot of content for a game jam at least. I made this dungeon area, and also a forest area with dangerous bats. There's also 2 boss fights. There's the Jester, who is easy at first, but then in his second phase he starts hovering for some reason and shooting fireballs randomly around the arena. So then you have to use these platforms to get up to him and bop him on the head. There's also the second boss who, well, spoilers, go play the game or something. It did turn out a bit too hard, especially in the forest sections, but I'm still pretty happy with it, to be honest. So I got lucky and managed to make it to round 6, which at this point was the semifinals of the entire competition due to a lot of people dropping out. I decided that this time I wanted to make something simple, but also polish it as much as possible. So the theme was announced, and it was, make a one-button game focusing on audio. My initial idea was a rhythm-based bullet hell where you can swap between different points to dodge bullets, and maybe it would have been kind of cool, but then I remembered another idea that I'd had a while ago. You know those games where you run on forever and all you do is press a button to jump? Well, my idea was that, but in reverse, where you jump on a fixed timer but press a button to switch directions. And this round's theme would fit that perfectly if I just make the jumping time to music. Perfect. So I prototyped the idea, and it was kind of fun, so I decided to keep going with it. I then decided to just polish as much as possible before I start even adding any levels or content. I added parallax, particles, a cool screen effect when the beat hits, animations, a whole tile set that I could use with the rule tile. Basically, I set up a lot of stuff. I then made a pretty simple main menu. You just click to start the game. And finally, it was time for some level design. While level designing, I decided I wanted to add in some secrets, so I added these caves with random things in them, like this cave that just has a bunch of physics objects for the player to mess around with. I'm not going to spoil all the secrets here, but I'll say that I did hide some of them pretty well. So anyways, I also made some levels where the music is different, so you jump to a different beat. This made for some pretty interesting level designs, like this level where the beat happens really frequently, and you have to avoid the ceiling spikes. I even added this level at the end with radios that change the music during the level. Jeez, I've said level a lot. And well, that's it. You can go play Little Alien in the description if you'd like, along with all the other games featured in this video. Also, be sure to check out some of the other awesome games submitted to Gdko. Anyways, bye!
I am inside your home.